Welcome to Gridiron Ring, a sports talk show covering football and professional wrestling. I'm your host, the Encyclopedia of Sports, Cool Hand Luke 96. Be sure, if you haven't done so already, to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring on social media. All the links are in the description below: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Gridiron Ring's website. My Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram links are also in the description below, so be sure to follow me on Twitter and Periscope at Cool Hand Luke 96, Instagram at LGoddessart96, and Gridiron Ring at GridRing18 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, hit that subscribe button and like button for this video right here on YouTube. College football Week 11 predictions today in this audio recording, so hopefully you enjoy. 18-10 last week during Week 10 during the 28 games that I predicted. Have a couple more games than that for this week. 164-82 now on the season as we inch closer towards the end of the regular season into Championship Saturday for the conference championship games, and then we'll find out the final four, the top four teams that are going to be playing in the college football playoff semifinal games on the first Sunday in December, Selection Sunday. So last week, Ohio defeated Western Michigan in the MAC 59-14. Central Florida and Temple combined for over 1,200 yards between the two of them. The Central Florida Golden Knights, though, defeated the Temple Owls 52-40 down in Orlando. Pitt and Virginia played in a monsoon in Charlottesville. The Pitt Panthers defeated the Virginia Cavaliers 23-13 in that one. Arizona and Colorado played in the Pac-12. Arizona won that 42-34. Auburn defeated Texas A&M 28-24. Michigan State put the nail in the coffin after Maryland's week from hell last week, defeated the Terrapins 24-3. The Baylor Bears caught the Oklahoma State Cowboys off guard after OK State defeated Texas at home the week before. They defeated OK State 35-31. Clemson scored a point a minute and blew out Louisville 77-16. Syracuse defeated Wake Forest 41-24. The Cuse are now ranked 13th in the country, their highest ranking since 1998. Ohio State pulled away in the second half, defeated Nebraska 36-31. Urban Meyer has now won 22 in a row coming off of a bye. Georgia won the SEC East, defeated Kentucky 34-17. They will now face Alabama in a national championship rematch after the Tide defeated LSU 29-0. Purdue defeated Iowa 38-36 on a game-winning field goal. NC State over Florida State 47-28. West Virginia scored in the final 20 seconds, then went for two and defeated the Texas Longhorns on the road in Austin 42-41. Boston College won for the first time since 2014 in Blacksburg as they defeated Virginia Tech 31-21. They host Clemson on Saturday night. Penn State got their ass kicked against Michigan, lost to the Wolverines 42-7. Missouri upset Florida in Gainesville at the Swamp 38-17. Arizona State defeated Utah at home 38-20. Duke over Miami 20-12. Notre Dame went to Evanston, defeated the Northwestern Wildcats by 10 31-21. Mississippi State over Louisiana Tech 45-3. Oregon gave former head coach Chip Kelly a loss in his return over UCLA 42-21. As I said, Alabama shut out LSU on the road in Death Valley 29-0. Oklahoma State over Texas Tech 51-46. Washington over Stanford in the Pac-12 27-23. Boise State had a goal line stand at the end of the game as time expired, defeated BYU 21-16. Washington State over Cal 19-13, and then Utah State defeated Hawaii 56-17. And then on Tuesday night, in between the two blockbuster games to begin the college basketball season, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Michigan are now your top four in the college football playoff rankings. Michigan jumped up to 4 from 5 after LSU, who was ranked 3, lost to Alabama. LSU is now 7. Georgia's 5, Oklahoma 6, as I said, LSU is 7. Washington State stayed put at 8, West Virginia is up to 9. Ohio State rounds out the top 10. Kentucky 11, Central Florida stayed put at 12. Syracuse 13, as I said, their highest ranking since 1998. NC State 14, Florida 15, Mississippi State 16, Boston College 17, 18 is Michigan State, 19 Texas, and Penn State is 20. Iowa 21, Iowa State 22, Fresno State 23, and then Auburn and Washington, who met Week 1 in Atlanta, are 24 and 25 respectively. Now you should expect a close one between Toledo and Northern Illinois in the MAC, as the last 4 meetings have been decided by 10 points or less. But I'm going to take Toledo to rocket past Northern Illinois. Wake Forest and NC State. Wake Forest has not won in Raleigh since 2006. Don't think that's going to change anytime soon, so give me NC State over the Demon Deacons. Louisville will go to the Carrier Dome to play Syracuse. I mean, what a difference 2 years makes with this game. 2 years ago, last time Louisville went to the Carrier Dome to play the Orange, Louisville was one of the highest ranked teams in the country. Syracuse was down in the dumps. Now Syracuse are ranked 13th, as I said, their highest ranking since 1998, and Louisville is now down in the dumps. But Syracuse, they're not going to have to stop Lamar Jackson this time. Lamar Jackson obviously just got drafted by the Ravens this past NFL draft, playing for the Ravens somewhat this year. So give me Syracuse over Louisville. Louisville, as I said last week, they might be looking for a new head coach if they decide to part ways with Bobby Petrino. Fresno State and Boise State will play on Friday night in the Mountain West. Broncos, they are a home underdog for the first time since 1999, almost 20 years. Fresno State has not beaten Boise State. They've only beaten Boise State 2 times in the past 12 years. But Fresno State is hot right now. They're one of the hottest non-Power 5 teams in the country, if you ask me. So give me Fresno State over Boise State. Wisconsin will come to Happy Valley for the first time since 2012. First meeting overall, though, since the 2016 Big Ten title game. Penn State won. They should have been in the playoff that year, but they weren't. Oh well. Key matchup, Jonathan Taylor versus Penn State's defensive line. Penn State, they've been able to stop opposing teams' run game this year, except for the couple games they lost to Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan last week, as they got their ass kicked against the Wolverines last week in Ann Arbor. Who's going to play quarterback for Wisconsin, though? Is it going to be Alex Hornibrook, Jack Cohn? Hornibrook, he's been injured. Cohn stepped in. He's played all right. Wisconsin, they really got a win to stay alive in the Big Ten West. You got Purdue playing Minnesota, Northwestern and Iowa playing as well on Saturday. But I can't pick against Penn State, so give me the Nittany Lions over the Badgers. South Carolina goes to Gainesville to play Florida, the Steve Spurrier Bowl. I think Florida will bounce back and make South Carolina wait another week to become bowl eligible. Ole Miss and Texas A&M also in the SEC. The teams have split since A&M joined the SEC in 2012. Seems to be a trend there. Expect another close one, though, but I'm going to pick Texas A&M because they are playing at home. The 12th man will help out the Aggies over the Rebs. Ohio State goes to East Lansing to play Michigan State. The last time Ohio State lost in East Lansing was 1999. You want to take a guess who the Michigan State head coach was that year? You guessed it. It was Nick Saban, who's currently at Alabama. The Ohio State Buckeyes, though, they got to keep winning if they want to stay alive in the college football playoff race. They are currently ranked 10th, as I said there a moment ago. So give me Ohio State over Michigan State, and then make that Ohio State-Michigan game at the end of the season a big matchup. The winner goes to Indianapolis more than likely, and hopefully whoever wins that Ohio State-Michigan game wins the Big Ten then, and then the Big Ten gets a member in the college football playoff semis. We'll have to find out and see, though. There's still 3 more weekends of the regular season left, and then the conference championship games. As I said, the first weekend in December, it's the 30th of November and December 1st, and then that Sunday, the 2nd, will be Selection Sunday to determine the top 4 teams at the end of the season. Kansas State and Kansas, North Carolina and Duke, I have in here just because college basketball season just started. As I said, the playoff rankings were released during the middle of the 2 blockbuster games on Tuesday night between Kansas and Michigan State and Duke and Kentucky that were won by Kansas and Duke. So obviously these games, football on Saturday, don't really mean much, but I'm going to take the home teams in both of those. So give me K-State over Kansas, plus Kansas just fired their head coach. They are going to let him coach the rest of the year, though, which seems very weird, even though they just fired him. But they're going to let David Beatty coach the rest of the year until they find somebody for next season. Then Duke over North Carolina in football and basketball in the Tobacco Road rivalry. So home teams in both of those, K-State over Kansas and Duke over North Carolina. Also in the Big 12, though, TCU will go to Morgantown to play West Virginia. I think this game will also be close, as a lot of these games I think will be this weekend on Saturday in Morgantown. But Will Grier will be the X factor, and he'll be the difference maker there, and will lead the West Virginia Mountaineers over the TCU Horned Frogs. UCLA and Arizona State toss up there. Give me the Bruins. Mississippi State and Alabama. I think Mississippi State, they'll hang around there for maybe a half, maybe 2.5, 3/4. We'll see. That game's at 3:30 on CBS on Saturday. The Ole Miss A&M game's at noon, so CBS will actually have 2 games on Saturday again, like they did this past week at 3:30 with Georgia and Kentucky, and then Alabama LSU at night, last Saturday night at 8 o'clock. But noon and 3:30 this weekend for CBS. And then obviously they'll have football games on Sunday as well for the NFL. And I'll be on Periscope. If you listened to my NFL predictions video already, or if you did not, go check it out. I will be on Periscope on Sunday for the Titans and Patriots. So Mississippi State, they'll hang around with Bama there for a while, but Bama's just too good. Roll Tide. Kentucky and Tennessee, backwoods battle there down in Knoxville. Kentucky, they've only beaten Tennessee twice since 1984, but this is a different Kentucky team. Kentucky, they were in the SEC East race there up until they lost to Georgia last week. Georgia's playing Bama now in a national championship rematch on December 1st for the SEC title. So they'll bounce back, Kentucky that is, over Tennessee after losing to Georgia last week. So give me the Wildcats over the Volunteers. Washington State goes to Colorado. Home team has won the last 3 meetings, but Washington State, they're just too powerful at the moment. This might be Mike Leach's best team he's ever had, and he's had some pretty damn good teams. They're ranked 8th in the country at the moment, and really the Cougars are the only hope the Pac-12 has left after Utah lost to Arizona State there last week on the road. Utah, they host Oregon. I'll get to that game here in a minute, but I mean, if whoever wins the Pac-12 South, and then if they win the Pac-12 title, there's no way in hell a member of the Pac-12 will be getting into the college football playoff with how the rankings are at the moment, especially with LSU only dropping from 3 to 7 and having 2 losses to Florida and LSU, or Florida and Alabama, LSU that is. So we'll have to see what happens. There's still a lot of football left to be played. As I said, 3 weeks until conference championship games. Michigan now, they will go to Piscataway to play Rutgers. The last time they played in Piscataway against the Scarlet Knights, they blew them out 78-0. I expect another blowout. Give me the Wolverines over Rutgers. Northwestern and Iowa, big battle in the Big Ten West on Saturday. This game will be at 3:30 on Fox. I think the Hawkeyes win. They make the Big Ten West race a little bit more interesting. Northwestern only has 1 loss. They win this game and win out, they're in Indianapolis playing either Michigan or Ohio State. And that'll be a huge accomplishment for Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald after starting the season 1-3 or 0-3. I mean, hell, they lost to Akron week 2, which is unfreaking believable. And then Northwestern still is in this race this late in the year. But you got to give the Wildcats and Pat Fitzgerald credit. He's one of the best coaches in college football, if you ask me, and he's really been leading that program in the right direction. I know they lost to Notre Dame there last week. They hung on with them until late, but they'll lose a stinger in Iowa City on Saturday to the Hawkeyes. Baylor and Iowa State. Iowa State has not defeated Baylor at home since 2012, but I think this game history will not repeat itself. Things will change here. It'll be close, but give me Iowa State over the Baylor Bears. Going back to Northwestern Iowa, as I said there, with the Big Ten West race, Purdue plays Minnesota here coming up. I'll get over that game. Wisconsin, Penn State, and then Northwestern Iowa. So Northwestern Iowa, Wisconsin, and Purdue are the 4 teams racing towards the finish there in the Big Ten West to get to Indianapolis. Bedlam is also on Saturday, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. Oklahoma has won 3 in a row in this series, including last year in Stillwater, 62-52. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring, though, this year, but Oklahoma still wins and makes it 4 in a row. Pitt, they're currently penciled in to play Clemson in the ACC title game, but they play Virginia Tech on Saturday. Last week, they defeated Virginia in that monsoon in Charlottesville. As I said there earlier, they defeated the Cavaliers 23-13. But this game, I think, is a bigger game for Virginia Tech than it is for Pitt, because if Va Tech defeats Pitt on Saturday in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field and then defeats Virginia on Black Friday in a couple of weeks, Virginia Tech will more than likely, depending on how the rest of the teams play, how the rest of the field shakes out, Virginia Tech will more than likely be playing in the ACC title game. Right now, probably penciled in against Clemson as well, but Clemson has to go to Chestnut Hill to play Boston College. Say BC wins that game, you got NC State there as well, and Syracuse, who plays Notre Dame next week at Yankee Stadium. That should be a fun one to watch. There's still just a shit ton of football to be played. This is all hypothetical. Who's going to be playing who in the conference championship games, if this happens, if that happens. Yeah, I can predict all I want, but that's why they play the games, folks. I'm going to take Virginia Tech to defeat Pitt, so give me the Hokies over the Panthers. This game will be on Saturday at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Purdue and Minnesota, I think the Boilermakers will keep winning. They defeated Iowa there last week. I was going to say bounce back there. Thinking they lost to Iowa, but they won on a game-winning field goal, 38-36, as I said there earlier, and they really need to keep winning. As I said, the Big Ten West race is down to Northwestern, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Purdue. Northwestern beat Purdue week 1. Northwestern beat Wisconsin there a couple weeks ago in Evanston. Northwestern, Iowa play this week. Purdue plays Minnesota there. So there's still a lot of football to be played, but give me the Boilermakers over the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Oregon and Utah. Oregon has not played well on the road at all this season. They are 1-2 in the 3 games that they played, but the 2 games that they've lost, they've been blown out. So give me Utah in a close one though. Auburn and Georgia, got a battle between the Dogs and the Tigers in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. The teams played twice last year. Once the second weekend of November, this upcoming weekend this year, and then they met in the SEC title game last year, and they split both of those games. So Auburn won the first one, but Georgia got revenge in the SEC title game, ended up making the playoff there, and then defeated Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl, and then lost to Alabama on a game-winning touchdown pass in the national championship game by Tua Tagovailoa. But now Georgia, they got themselves their rematch. They'll be playing Alabama in the SEC title game this year, and Georgia, really, they got to keep winning as well. They are right now on the outside looking in, even though they're number 5. Say Alabama wins out, they'll beat Georgia there, obviously. Say Clemson wins out, wins the ACC. Notre Dame wins out, they'll be an independent. Obviously they'd be undefeated though. It'd be hard to team like Notre Dame. Yeah, they had a lot of tough games when they played them, but then with how the teams that they've beat have done since then, the strength of schedule there for Notre Dame not looking so good. And then Michigan, say Michigan wins out, wins the Big Ten. They defeat Ohio State, defeated Penn State there last week. They defeated Michigan State, Wisconsin. Those teams are ranked, so it'll be hard if Georgia does win out. Obviously, they went out, they beat Alabama. Do you put Georgia over Alabama as the SEC champ, or do you put Alabama over Georgia with the way Alabama's played this year? So it's going to be hard to see what the committee is going to end up doing, but Georgia's got to win, so I'm going to take the Bulldogs over the Tigers on Saturday night. This game's at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Miami, Georgia Tech in the ACC. Can the U stop the triple option? They couldn't stop Duke last week at home at Hard Rock Stadium. Duke beat Georgia Tech there a couple weeks ago as well. So give me the Yellow Jackets over the Hurricanes. Then 2 games in the American Athletic Conference, South Florida and Cincinnati, and Temple and Houston. Give me the home teams in both of those being the Cincinnati Bearcats and the Houston Cougars. LSU and Arkansas, battle for the Golden Boot. I think LSU bounces back after they lost to Alabama there. Got their ass kicked 29-0, got shut out by the Crimson Tide. So LSU goes on the road now to Fayetteville to play the Razorbacks. Give me the Tigers over the Hogs. This game, I remember watching this game a lot growing up. You used to be on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and in the past couple years they've moved up in the schedule, and it's always a fun game to watch. So I think I'll tune into this game. I'll also tune into Florida State Notre Dame. That's going to be at 7:30 on NBC. Two historic programs going at it for only the 9th time ever. First time since 2014 down in Tallahassee. So Florida State's going to make their first trip to Notre Dame in quite some time. But Notre Dame, they have only defeated Florida State 2 times of those 9. And with Florida State being down this year, I think Notre Dame makes it 3rd time's a charm due to the luck of the Irish. So give me the Fighting Irish over the Seminoles of Florida State. Texas and Texas Tech. Texas Tech has not defeated Texas in Lubbock at their home stadium since 2008. They won that game basically, if you remember, on a game-winning touchdown pass from Graham Harrell to Michael Crabtree. I think that changes, though. I think Texas Tech defeats Texas Longhorns on Saturday night. Clemson goes to Chestnut Hill to play Boston College. As I said there earlier, Boston College hasn't beat Clemson since 2010. They'll stick around, I think, with the Tigers 2.5, 3/4, just like Mississippi State, Alabama. But Clemson, they'll pull away. They're just too good. And Clemson will defeat Boston College and basically make themselves a lock for the ACC title game. And then they'll figure out who they're going to be playing in that game here within the next couple weeks. Alabama, Clemson, arguably the 2 best teams in college football right now, might play each other here in the semis for the 4th straight year. The Alabama Crimson Tide and Clemson Tigers, they played in the 2 national championship games there, and then they met in the Sugar Bowl last year in the 1 semi. And then Alabama obviously defeated Georgia in the national championship game. Then the last game I'm going to predict for Week 11 is out west in the Pac-12, Cal and USC. Cal has not defeated USC since 2003, so fight on SC, fight on Trojans, give me USC over Cal. So those are my 2018 Week 11 college football predictions. Hopefully you enjoyed this audio recording. I'll go down through my predictions here one last time, tell you who I picked. Toledo, NC State, Syracuse, Fresno State, Penn State, Florida, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Kansas State, West Virginia, Duke, UCLA, Alabama, Kentucky, Washington State, Michigan, Iowa, Iowa State, Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, Purdue, Utah, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Cincinnati, Houston, LSU, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, Clemson, and USC are my Week 11 college football predictions, my winners for this upcoming weekend. So hopefully I believe I picked 31 games there. Hopefully I go 31-0. Highly doubt it, but we'll see. That's why they play the games. As I said, shit ton of football still left to be played. 3 weeks until conference championship games begin. Be sure, if you haven't done so already, to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Gridiron Ring's website. Follow me on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram. All the links are in the description below. Gridring 18, Colehan Luke 96, and Elgato Start 96. Be sure to like this video and subscribe right here on YouTube. Go check out my NFL Week 10 predictions as well if you haven't listened to those already. And I will see everybody on Sunday for Periscope for NFL action between the Titans and Patriots.